hot in here. And so we're going to do a little bit of a study, but before I jump into 14, I left something out of chapter 13, a point I wanted to make. And it's out of verse number 5 of chapter 13, where it says, one of the things that charity does, or does not do, is it doth not behave itself unseemly.
There we go.
I forgot to point this out, because this word unseemly shows up in the Bible only twice.
In Romans 1.
Here and in Romans chapter 1. Now, some of you go out preaching, out in the public. Sometimes you encounter people that we would know as sodomites. They call themselves, in today's language, homosexuals. The Bible word is a sodomite.
Amen.
And we'll talk to those people, and one of the things that they do in trying to make their case is, what's wrong with love? You know, God is love. What does it matter who we love? But we love each other, so forth and so on. Well, this 1 Corinthians chapter 13 tells you that charity, love and action, doth not behave itself unseemly. So I was thinking about this one time, and the word unseemly kept ringing in my mind on the tip of my tongue, and this is somewhere else, this is somewhere else. I looked it up. Look at Romans chapter 1. I'm telling you this so you remember this if you ever get an opportunity to speak with a sodomite. And you can speak kindly to them, by the way.
Of course.
You do not have to be mean-spirited in your conversation with them. I think sometimes people, you can get a little overhanded in your delivery. We need to watch that. But here in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse number 24, wherefore God gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie,
There you go.
and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women. So look at that, vile affections. Not all affection is good.
Right.
Just because something feels affectionate doesn't mean that it's a good affection. There's such thing as vile affections. See that?
Yeah.
For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly. It's not love. No matter how much they want to characterize it as love, it's not. Because true love will not behave itself unseemly.
Amen. Amen.
That act is an unseemly act. It's not an act of love. Look, and that's another thing too. There's a difference between loving someone and the actual, how shall we say, carnal act. And just to make my point, I love my dad, but I'm not going to do that.
Amen.
Amen.
That's right.
So they're just trying to confuse the issue because they
Uh-huh.
think you as a Christian are so wrapped up in everything is love and all nice and
Right.
compromising and ecumenical and all-encompassing and tolerant, so then they use your weakness against you,
Uh-huh.
which that part should not even be a weakness in you anyway. But to the typical Christian it is, and so this is how they get suckered into embracing all this stuff. Because they think to themselves, how can love be wrong? God is love. That's what my preacher keeps telling me. Well, no wonder the Christians fall into this nonsense. Because they're not learning and they're not breaking the Bible down. Well, number one, they're not even using the Bible that even makes this connection.
There you go. That's where it's at.
You know, this is the only Bible you're going to find this in.
Uh-huh.
See, you can use synonyms in a translation, like these new versions do. Well, nothing changed. The words mean the same thing. Yeah, but you lost the cross reference.
Right. Amen.
God put a certain word in a certain place so that you get the connections. Unseemly's got one connection because it's only used twice.
Huh.
In the definition of what charity is and this connection to sodomy. And guess which one was written first?
Yeah.
1 Corinthians 13. Paul wrote 1 Corinthians before he wrote Romans. Remember, we're going in the order, the chronological order that the books were written.
Right. Not
That these epistles were written.
placed in.
We haven't got the Romans yet, have we? Why? Because 1 Corinthians was written before Romans. So when he writes to the Romans, if that first epistle to the Corinthians had been passed around, and Romans knew exactly what Paul was saying.
Uh-huh.
Does not behave itself unseemly. It's not love. It's not an act of love. Don't let anybody tell you that it is, because it's not. No matter how loud they yell it, no how much they demand that it is. It's not. Okay, so there you have that connection there. I meant to point it out last week, but we were